What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about Scream 7 in this video here today. So as you can see, the cast just continues to grow. Obviously, as these videos come out, as these news reports drop, I want everyone to be mindful. This does not mean these people just signed. As quick as these news articles are coming out, that's because this news has been probably embargoed. These people signed months ago, probably weeks ago, and now they're being given the green light to start reporting on it. This isn't an indication that these people just signed on. But our latest signer is Anna Camp, who is set to join Scream 7, the newest installment in the long-running horror franchise from Spyglass Media Group and Paramount. This article, of course, is by Deadline. Character details are under wraps, as they've been for other newcomers to the franchise, including Celeste O'Connor, Asa Gurman, McKenna Grace, and Sam Reckner. Neve Campbell is set to return as Scream Queen Sidney Prescott, with Mason Gooding reprising as her fellow Ghostface killer survivor Chad Meeks Martin. The other previously announced newcomer to the film series is Isabel May, who plays Sidney's daughter. No word yet on a plotline for the slasher, set to hit theaters worldwide on February 27th of 2026. Now, Anna Camp, you guys fill me in on who she is, because this is yet another I'm out of the loop moment. I don't know who this person is. Actually, Anna is going to be starring in the last season of You, season 5, or starring in the last season of You, which will be season 5, as this article just reminded me. I just thought she looked a bit familiar. I am not a Pitch Perfect person. Probably saw Pitch Perfect once or twice. So as you see, we're still pulling in people from hit shows. You got someone from The Boys. Now you have someone from You, which definitely has a highly anticipated final season coming to Netflix sometime next year. Before I go any further, as a black person of color, whatever you want to label me, I'm going to just give y'all the floor to explain yourselves down below. Help me understand this narrative. I see a lot of uproar over this. Sidney Prescott is a white woman, yes? We agree on that. Why are we anticipating multiple people of color to be in this story if said story is centered on a white woman who likely surrounds herself with other white folks, and it's kind of unavoidable considering who the majority are? I'm just trying to understand this thought process, because sometimes it looks like we're trying to dig for something to be pissed at, and I don't see many black people and people of color being upset about this. It again just comes off like we're trying to be offended on behalf of others, and I'm telling you, me personally, I can't speak for others. I don't care about that. I don't care. The reason I don't care is because let's say they were to surround Sidney with a good division of whites and people of color. That wouldn't be realistic to me. That wouldn't be realistic to me at all. I wouldn't even believe that narrative. You can't just start placing people of color in places and then expect me to believe it as a person of color, and this story is about a white woman. I'm just saying. I see where some people are coming from with being offended, but it looks like you're being offended on behalf of others. And is that really something we need to be up in arms over? The story's about a white woman. Just help me understand, what is it that is leading you to think she's going to be surrounded by nothing but minorities? This is realistic casting to me, that she's surrounded by nothing but white people. Just someone fill me in on that, because I don't understand. So shout out to Killjoy Jake for the mention in your video from yesterday. I really appreciate that, because it looks like we have our neighbor friend Jennifer, who is supposed to be Logan's 40-something-year-old mother, who is also Sidney's friend. Anna just so happens to be in her 40s, so until further notice, I am going to say hello, Jennifer. I do think Scream 7 has an opportunity to tackle celebrity worship like we've never seen before. I've touched on the idea of a fan of Sidney's being the killer, because they are disappointed in Sidney for continuing to associate herself with the likes of Gale Weathers. Maybe Sidney has something they want, Mark Kincaid perhaps. But with the Gale narrative I'm thinking of, perhaps Jennifer is just a woman who has always admired Sidney's strength to overcome. She's a big fan of her book, her life story, and whatever other media Sidney has out there that Jennifer has just consumed and become infatuated by, and she's been pedestalizing Sidney for so long. She's going to keep this close to her chest. She's not going to necessarily share this overly with Sidney, but she's very much so got something in common with Angelina, like how Angelina reacted when she saw Sidney in Scream 3. So this is like a dream come true for this woman. She's moved next door to Sidney. She's been friends with her for at least a good 2 solid years by the time this narrative is unfolding on our screen. It's an idea that she's mapped out, literally something she mapped out in her head. I'm going to move next door to Sidney Prescott. She figured out all these different things because she just has access to a certain amount of money. Maybe she comes from wealth, and she's just living out her dream. She just dreamed of how perfect it would be to be best friends with Sidney Prescott. Now, maybe Logan is her actual son. Maybe Logan isn't her real son. Maybe it's some sort of front that they are putting on together, and Logan, of course, is an accomplice. That's always a possibility. Jennifer, in the midst of being close with Sidney and being friendly, tries to plant these seeds in her mind. Hey, you know what? Why don't you cut off Gale Weathers and just be my friend? You don't need someone like Gale. She doesn't like Gale because Gale is always exploiting things. She doesn't like the way Gale has treated Sidney in the past. But Sidney is having none of it. Not that she's making it overly awkward and making Sidney suspicious, but Sidney's having none of this. Sidney's saying, hey, well, you know, that was then, this is now. I've forgiven Gale. I've moving on. And this just completely shatters Jennifer. It's soul crushing to her. She can't believe that someone grew over years and is forgiving of someone who at one point they had beef with, because Jennifer herself has beef with Gale and she doesn't even know Gale Weathers. So what I'm getting at is you have a narrative unfolding in which she snaps because of the fact that Sidney won't cut off Gale. And it's a way to just commentate on how we pedestalize celebrities, a way to commentate on celebrity worship, a way to commentate on all of these different things going on in modern society, or at least Western society, I'll say. I don't know how much glamorization or pedestalization of celebrities goes on in other places. I just know that there's a lot of that happening here in the West, and the way we propel these people higher than ourselves, this is what leads to narratives like what can unfold with Jennifer. I just see something like that unfolding where you're examining someone being obsessed with Sidney Prescott to the point that it sends them off the deep end, and it's like, oh, well, if you can't do what I'm telling you to do and what I'm expecting you to do, I'm going to taunt you and haunt you again with the thing you hate most, and that's another Ghostface killing spree, because you don't deserve to have this family. You don't deserve to have this husband or any of these things that you actually earned if you want to continue to associate yourself with someone like Gale Weathers, who in Jennifer's mind is scum of the earth, bottom of the barrel trash, needs to be discarded, doesn't deserve a breath of fresh air. You guys can let me know what you think about this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Turn on post notifications and miss video. In the description, I have links to my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there to let me know any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.